Welcome to Speaking of Pets.
We're the Novotny sisters from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroman, a board-certified veterinary dermatologist.
And I'm not. I'm Janet Novotny-King, the doctor's sister, podcast co-host, pet owner, rescuer, and lover.
We're here to provide pet owners with science-based information to help them be the best pet parents they can be.
Here's today's episode, created just for you and your pets.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Janet, I have a new favorite book, and you know I don't have many.
Yes, this is true. The Vet at
Vet
Noah's
at Noah's
Ark.
Ark. Yes, and the vet at Noah's Ark is Dr. Doug Mader, who is triple boarded. What does that mean? Specialist not only for cats and dogs, but for reptiles and amphibians and herpetology. What's herpetology, Janet?
Study of herpes.
Actually, that was pretty good. No, snake.
But you know what Daddy would say? He's a
smart cookie.
smart cookie.
But anyway, I have so looked forward to meeting Dr. Mader because we have mutual indirect friends. And I hear Dr. Mader in Key West. And I had no idea. When I'm reading the book, this is a memoir when your office was in the hood in LA. So now he's cross country to Key West. So anyway, I couldn't put it down, number one. I'm looking forward to the next book. And all the stories that I want you to talk about today. He had a skunk with a heart problem. Mickey the monkey that couldn't walk. I mean, I'm not going to give it all away. It was just, he is a vet's vet. And something that, you know, when an injured animal, no matter what the species, come through that door, I would have complete confidence in him as opposed to me. So welcome, Dr. Doug Mader. If it had bad skin, I'm your man, okay?
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and share the hour with you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So may I ask, just out of my curiosity, before we get into all the interesting cases, what caused the trek across the country to the Keys?
I was born here.
Oh, did not know that.
wow.
So, I was born here. My father was in the service, and we were stationed. I was born in the Upper Keys, and he was working up in Homestead at the military base. And then being an Army brat, we moved around quite a bit, and then eventually Uncle Sam took him off to Vietnam. So the family moved to a military base in Hawaii, which is basically where I grew up until I left for high school. For college. Then I ended up in California for a little over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then I love to scuba dive. In California, the water is extremely cold. And my wife and I said, you know what, hey, I'd love to go back to where I was born and go diving in the Keys where it's warm and you don't have to wear a wetsuit. And so we came out to the Keys to see where I was born, and it was like a salmon coming home. No, I didn't go back to breed. I just came back just because that was where I was born.
Yeah, breeding.
And
right.
yeah,
spay and neuter everything. Right.
It was just like it was calling me to come back. So I literally looked at houses when we were there on vacation, and the cost of living was like maybe a fifth of what it was in California. Mm-hmm. And I invested in a small cabin, and about 4 or 5 years later, I ended up moving here permanently and started all over. But I just love it here. It's so different. So the first book is in Los Angeles.
Yes.
The second book, which is in press right now, is also in Los Angeles. And then the third book is in the Florida Keys.
Oh my gosh. Did you buy an existing practice in the Keys or just open your own there? Well, I mean, I know you opened your own, but you know what I'm saying? Like how you
We did buy a practice that when we first moved here, my wife is also a veterinarian. The wife that I moved here with is not the wife in the book.
Okay, the nurse.
You'll learn about that in book 3.
Okay.
So she's also a veterinarian from Switzerland, and we moved here. She went to go work for an existing practice, and when I first moved here, I was just lecturing and writing and then working as a consultant online. Mm-hmm. Making more money than I ever made in my life with no employees. It was a lovely job. Then we had a really nasty hurricane in 1998, and the owner of the practice where my wife was working, his wife said, I can't do this again. I'm leaving. Either go with me or we're getting a divorce. Okay. So he fire stale. He sold the practice to my wife. He left. My wife had never run a practice. I had owned the practice in Los Angeles for over 10 years.
Wow.
So I said, listen, I'll help you but I really like my life of sitting in a hammock, working online, just doing consulting, lecturing, and writing. So I started helping her in the new practice, and we got so busy so fast. It was basically a 1.5 doctor practice. And then when I jumped in with her, within 6 months, we hired our third doctor, and eventually we were up to 10 doctors. So we had to build a new hospital, and it ended up being a big city referral center in the middle of nowhere. But that's how we got here.
So I assume there are a lot of exotic pets in the Keys.
There are.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I saw a heck of a lot more of exotic pets
Yeah.
when I was in LA.
I bet.
But here in the Keys, I do a lot of wildlife work. So,
Yeah.
like, one of the things that actually encouraged me to move to the Keys when I left California was I started working at the sea turtle hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And all they do is sea turtles. And so I was their main vet for 24 years. On the island that I live on, we have the smallest ungulate in North America. It's called the key deer.
Yes.
It's a white-tailed deer, but it's about the size of a greyhound. They're really cute. They're like little bonsai deer.
Do you see
little
many of
tiny
them
things.
as patients, though? I mean,
I am the vet that does all the work for U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So when I owned the hospital, we sold our hospital about 5 years ago. When I owned the hospital, if they needed surgery, I would take them up there.
yeah.
Now, since I sold the hospital, I take care of a small zoo in Key West, and we have a little hospital there. So now if I have a deer that gets hit by a car or needs care, then I take him down to the zoo and I work on him down there. And then, man, I've worked on whale sharks. I've worked on sperm whales, pilot whales, pygmy whales, all sorts of dolphins. So lots and lots of wildlife. Alligators up the wazoo.
Have you been bit?
Yeah. Pardon?
Have you been bit?
Bitten? No.
Because
No, I haven't.
I used to volunteer at Crow on Sanibel, and I remember the former director was bit. She had a pretty good bite on her arm. Yeah.
From an alligator?
Yeah, and it wasn't a big one either. Right, right.
Have you seen the picture of me? It's made the cover of a couple of magazines where I'm swimming with one of my patients named Casper.
No, and what is Casper?
He's about a 350-pound alligator, and I'm holding him in my arms, and it looks like he's smiling.
That better be in the next book.
No, that'll be in book 3.
Okay, in book 3. Oh my God. Now, I'm interested in the key deer because I think they're adorable. What do they come in? I mean, obviously injured, but do they get anything in common? Like, I know they can have Demodex, Demodex mites, but what were you seeing them for regularly, if at all?
Probably hit by
Probably hands down. Well, the number one cause of death is vehicles. Probably number 2 is almost everything is human interactions, anthropogenic, that's causing death. So number 1 is vehicles, hands down. Number 2 is probably animals get into trash cans and then they ingest foreign material and then they get blockages.
Okay.
Or they get into the trash and they get stuff stuck on their feet or wrapped around their heads or maybe tangled up in somebody's fishing net hanging on the back line on their back porch.
Yeah.
And then after that, we do have a handful of natural diseases. They actually, I'm not ever aware of them getting Demodex. They do get a type of mite. Probably the most common ectoparasite they get is lice.
Yeah.
And it's really seasonal. And right now we're just coming out of our dry season, and the lice are really bad when it's the humidity is low and it's dry. But as soon as it starts raining, all the lice clear up and go away.
When I first started to volunteer at Crow, the first day I went in there, the vet tech had a white washcloth on the top of her head, and she was working with a pelican. And I said, "Oh, what's going on here?" And it was the lice, and yeah.
Oh, they're nasty.
Yes. And, I remember my husband and I were walking on the beach in Sanibel. Well, I was. And then he gets the call, bring the beach towel in the box. And he knows then we're going to run something up to Crow. So we put it he said, well, can't I just put it in the back seat? I went, no, lice. We're going to get lice in the car. But people don't realize. And so do you see a lot of pelicans?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We have 2 wild bird centers, one in Key West and one in Marathon. We live kind of right in the middle between the 2. And my wife does all the work for the wildlife centers. And so she does a lot of the pelicans. If they have a really complicated case, they'll call me in. Because because I'm a surgeon and she's a really good surgeon, but some of the stuff she doesn't know how to do.
Yeah.
The one thing though, just for the listener's sake, is that lice are very species specific. So they will jump off a pelican, and they're big, nasty suckers on the pelicans, and they're biting lice. So they'll jump on you and they might bite you, but you're not the right host, so then they jump off.
Oh.
That doesn't ameliorate the fact that you get covered with them. And one of my favorite words, and I can say this, it's not one of the 7 you're not allowed to say on TV or FCC bans. It's called formication. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's like fornication.
Formication. No, that's not the word I used. It's formication with an M. Formication is the feeling of ants crawling over your body.
Oh, yeah.
So like you'll pick up one of these pelicans, or you work with a key deer. Next thing you know, all of the lice jump on you and they're crawling all over you. So you get that feeling of formication.
Yes.
Okay. And it drives you crazy, but you shower, get rid of them, and they don't stay on you because you're the wrong host.
Well,
remember, the birds have a body temperature of about 106 to 107, and we're at 98.7.
Yeah.
So the lice jump on you, they realize you're not the right host, and they jump off. But it doesn't change the fact that it's gross.
Okay, but
You
you
know,
know what, Alice? Wait a minute, Al. But
What?
our mom growing up, I remember she had said that they had chickens growing up, and that
Oh.
they would get lice from the chicken coop.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
I
But the
remember-
the lice don't stay on the people.
Yeah.
Well, as she made
They'll
that up-
jump on the people, you'll get bit, you'll get itchy, but then they jump off. The difference is that they won't reproduce on you, whereas if the lice jumps on a chicken, they're going to have romance and they'll have more lice, okay? But if they jump on you, they may bite you, they may cause a rash, but then they're going to come off.
And
So
you
I
know
thought-
that, Jan, I was going to say, that brings me to when I was a senior vet student at Ohio State, we manned the phones. And the most common call we got was, can my dog get lice from me? There must have been a lot of people at OSU
Oh, head lice?
with,
Yeah.
or pubic lice. And the dogs were sleeping in bed with them. But I'll never forget that. It's like, I got another lice call here. Yeah, honest to God.
Well, there is, you've probably read the paper, there is actually a paper that's been published of a dog in Berkeley that got pubic lice from its owner, and I won't go into any more detail than that.
I did not read that.
Yes.
So, Dr. Mater, have you ever treated the
This conversation has really gotten far away from.
It's
Talking
ectoparasites.
about-
What can I say?
Getting a little spicy. Have you ever treated the Hemingway cats?
No, my wife has. They have a vet, a house call vet that does all of their cats for them. Every once in a while, again, she's a house call vet, so she doesn't have surgery facilities. So every once in a while, they would get a cat that would need an intervention, whether it be an ultrasound or an endoscopy or possibly surgery. So to answer your question, yes, I have, but no, I'm not their vet.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so what counts as an exotic pet?
Well, flip it around. I mean, the domestics are going to be your dogs, cats, rabbits, ferrets,
Yep.
and then pigs, sheep, goats, horses, cattle. Pretty much most everything else is going to be considered exotic or non-domestic.
Oh, that's interesting.
But Janet, what I learned from the book, and is this still true, Dr. Mater, that you're not allowed to have a ferret as a pet in California? Is that still true?
Yes. Yeah. And it's the only state, California and Hawaii are the only 2 states where you're not allowed to have ferrets.
And why is that? Do you know? Just so
No idea.
There's a lot of
Wacky
politics
thing.
involved because, I mean, ferrets are in the other states, and one of the concerns that the California Department of Fish and Game had was that the ferrets would get out in the wild and they would destroy and upset the balance of the native wildlife. But they haven't done that anywhere else in the United States. But maybe there's something special or some invisible force field around, the state of California that changes things if a ferret comes into California. And one of my very, very good friends is the head of California Department of Fish and Wildlife veterinarians.
Yeah.
And we have this conversation all the time. So I don't know why they haven't allowed it. I know there's a lot of politics behind it.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was, and I talk about this in the book, is that nowhere in the law in California does it say you can't treat a ferret. It just says you can't own one.
right?
Oh,
And remember our Hippocratic oath that we took, we're supposed to end suffering. And so if somebody brings you a sick ferret, in California, you can say, I'm not comfortable treating this, it's an illegal animal. Or you can say, yeah, it's sick, I'm going to treat it.
Yeah.
So we did, and we actually advertised in the yellow pages that we treated ferrets because there's nothing in the law that says you can't advertise. So we saw a ton of ferrets.
Hope you're enjoying today's Speaking of Pets podcast. Every week we feature a board-certified specialist, dermatology, me, oncology, internal medicine, orthopedic surgery, ophthalmology, dentistry, you name it. If it affects pets, we're on it.
We're here to share some really good information for pet owners, practical information that is science-based, so that you can be a pet owner and have a healthier pet.
To learn more about your pet's health, check out our other episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
When I first moved to the Keys, Charles River Laboratories, you probably have more information than you want. Charles River Laboratories owned 2 islands. There are hundreds of islands in the Florida Keys.
Was it Raccoon?
43 male, yes, Raccoon and Lois Keys. So there are 43 main islands connected by 42 bridges stretching out over 120 miles down from Miami. And there were 2 private islands owned by Charles River Laboratories, Raccoon Key and Lois Key, and they had wild colonies of macaques on those islands.
Yeah.
And you may not know this, you may, but I did my residency in primate and zoo animal medicine. So I had come down here and I have spent some time on these islands with the primates. They're the healthiest, most beautiful animals you've ever seen because they're living in the wild. You know, in the rain, the humidity, the thunder, the lightning, the bugs, all the stuff that normal monkeys live in. And I don't want to get into the politics behind it, but eventually they got sued by PETA, and PETA couldn't get them to get rid of the monkeys because the monkeys were so healthy. So then PETA got wise, and they sued Charles River, not over the monkeys living on the islands, but over the monkeys destroying the mangrove trees, which are a protected tree in the state of Florida.
Right.
And they won the environmental lawsuit, and then Charles River had to take several thousand monkeys from the natural habitat that they were living in and put them in cages.
Yeah.
So other than that, yes, there are pet monkeys, but not too many. And yes, I did my residency in primate medicine. And yes, I really love monkeys, but no, I do not endorse people having pet monkeys.
Wow.
So I will see them because, again, I feel like it's my duty to take care of the monkeys.
Right.
But I always tell people I don't think it's a good idea to have pet monkeys.
So
You know-
that leads me, I have a question. Are there certain exotic animals that make surprisingly really great pets? And then are there some that are kind of a challenge?
I think it's person by person basis.
Probably.
I think there are certain snakes that make really good pets. There are certain lizards that make really good pets. There are people, you take that same snake that could be a really good pet and you give it to an ophidiophobe,
Yeah.
which is a fancy word for somebody afraid of snakes. And of course, they'll prolapse and it wouldn't go so well. So I think so. I mean, I have a pet macaw, and I personally don't like big birds in cages, but I inherited the macaw from my ex-wife, and she's just turned 35 2 days ago, and she's one of my best friends in the world. She doesn't live in a cage. She lives in a big playpen. So yeah, I mean, some of the exotic pets, I think, you know, the human-animal bond, I'm going to jump aside a little bit here. The human-animal bond is really powerful, and I know you've talked about that a zillion times, right?
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that the human-animal bond isn't just with, you know, a young girl and her horse, or an older lady and her canary, or somebody sitting petting a cat on their lap watching TV. The human-animal bond can be anything. Me and my macaw, I have a snake that's got, let's say, developmental abnormalities. So he's mentally challenged. And if I didn't hand feed him, and I've had him for 11 years, he'd have been dead a long time ago. And so I have a bond with him. If it wasn't for me, he'd be dead. If it wasn't for him, I mean, he makes me happy because I know I'm keeping him alive. And look at people that have pet fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can share with you from a personal perspective. You know, we had a horrific hurricane here in 2017. We had a Cat 5 come across. We lost our house, and we evacuated with my whole zoo. We loaded up the SUV, but I couldn't bring my fish, and I had a huge fish tank that I had. Some of my fish I'd had over 15 years. I couldn't evacuate my fish tank, and I left. You know, I had backup pumps and backup batteries and backup this and backup that and everything I could possibly do. And when you have a hurricane coming, you really don't think it's going to affect you, right?
Right.
But I came back and the hurricane destroyed the house. The aquarium was a huge aquarium, actually got moved, but it didn't spill. I had two. One of them spilled out, and I can only hope that those fish are off swimming and happy somewhere. But the other one, because the power was destroyed, the oxygen lines, life support was destroyed, all my fish died. And to this day, that hurts me more than losing my house. Because I didn't evacuate with those fish are dead.
Yeah.
And I'll never get them back. And they were fish that were part of my life. Again, some of them for 15 years. And so a human-animal bond is real. People think, oh, you can't have a bond with a fish. Of course you can.
Yeah.
I come home from work, the fish are all sitting on the side of the aquarium, and they're excited to see me. Yeah, not because we talk a lot, but they know I'm going to feed them. And I had a crappy day at work. I feed the fish. They're happy. That makes me smile. So that human-animal bond is real, and it crosses species. So to answer your question, Janet, yeah, I think a lot of exotic pets make really, really good companions.
And you know, there was a paper not too long ago that proved fish recognize their owners.
Oh, they do. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like I said, I had a fairly large aquarium, and it was in the living room. And the fish knew me. They knew my wife. They knew our pets. But like if we'd have guests come over and visit, and the guests would walk up to the aquarium, all the fish would like swim to the back and hide behind the rocks and stuff because they didn't recognize the people.
And turtles are like that too. I think
Absolutely.
turtles, to me, are very emotional. And in the books I've read about people that do turtle rescue, a lot of people that have had problems in their past, like ex-drug users and things like that, really bond with turtles. There's a spirituality there that I think is just lovely.
Yeah, turtles. I mean, I don't remember how many thousand in genera there are, but there's quite a few. They have great personalities. They have really good hearing.
Yeah.
They got a great sense of smell, and not probably, hands down, the most common turtle is the sulcata, often also called the African spurred turtle, and it became popular in the early 90s by Hallmark, and every year during Easter, Hallmark would have this commercial, and it would be a big turtle wearing rabbit ears and then an actual rabbit, and then there would be a Cadbury egg right in front of it. And that was a TV commercial. That original turtle was one of my clients when I lived in LA. But anyway, that commercial spurred the desire for people to go out and buy it because they're really cool turtles. They got phenomenal personalities. The problem is that they're the third largest tortoise in the world, and they grow really fast.
Yeah.
In 10 years, they're over 100 pounds. So people buy them when they're literally like this big. And then in 10 years, what happens is they're 100 pounds. People can't keep them in their apartment. And even if they have a small yard, they're like bulldozers, and they destroy everything in your yard. So then they think, oh, well, the zoo will take it. Well, guess what? We have 15 of them at the little local zoo. We can't take any more. We don't have any room. Wow. So a lot of times people, the other day, about a week ago, I got a call from the sheriff's office. They found a big sulcata walking on the side of the highway. Somebody just dumped it.
And I think what bothers me too about people that get turtles, how much do you see nutritional deficiencies in them? They have no clue.
Oh, yeah, I think, I didn't interrupt, but you can use that across the board with exotics.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I got a new hedgehog. Where do you feed it? Dog food. You know? Oh, I got a new frog. Where do you feed it? Oh, dog food. You know? And it's a contrived environment.
Yeah.
And we give them an artificial diet. And we do for them what we think they need or they want, not necessarily what they actually need or what they actually want. And so that's going back to your comment, Janet. What animals are good pets? A lot of these animals are really good pets, but they don't make good pets if you don't know how to care for them. And then the animal suffers, which is tough. That's hard as a doctor for me to see, because many, many, many times when you do exotic animal work, it's not medical issues, it's husbandry issues.
I remember in the book about the woman turtle expert that brought the one into you that I was just waiting for you to clip her. I really was, because I knew as soon as she brought it in and you said it was really emaciated and near death, I thought, damn it, she probably was starving it or giving it the wrong nutrition. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sadly really common.
I was going to ask that question. How do owners know what the right diet is? Because that's so important.
As you said, Google.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And
on
what
that.
happens is they go on online, and if it's online, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to digress because I do this all the time. I got ADHD or whatever you want to call it.
Me too.
My own lovely, wonderful sister. Okay, so I'm married to a veterinarian who's, I think, one of the brightest people I've ever met. I've got decent education, triple board certified. But my sister will read something online, and then she'll ask us about it, and we'll say, "No, I'm sorry, that's not
me.
correct." And she'll say, "But I read it online." And I go, "Well, Diane, do you want to believe something that you read online from somebody that you don't know, or do you want to believe something from somebody you're related to, who's got a higher education and is very academic, that you know and you trust?" But I read it online. And so it's the same thing with the foods, So somebody online says, "Oh, you've got a pet Belgian Pocono snake, and you should be feeding this Tootsie Rolls." That's what I do. It's like, "Oh, well, I read it online, so I've got to go buy some Tootsie Rolls." And the vet says, no, you need to feed it small mice. "Oh, no, I can't do that."
Right. Or remember the client that only wanted to feed vegetarian?
Yeah.
Yes. What animal was that? I forget. It was a reptile.
That was a black and white tegu, and it's a carnivorous lizard.
And Janet, she said to Dr. Doug, she said, "I can't feed it, and I'm a vegetarian or vegan, whichever, and I can't feed my animals another animal base." And he's like, "Yeah, but you're going to kill it." So then, did she give it to you? What was the story of that?
She ended up. She didn't give it to us. She boarded it permanently with us. And so that we could feed it.
That's great.
And she paid for the boarding and she paid for all the food, but she just personally couldn't do it. Feed it a live animal or even a dead animal, because I'd recommended that she feed it pre-killed animals. And she wouldn't do that either. She couldn't have it in her house. So we had that animal for years.
So veterinarians, I'm going to ask you a question. So does every veterinarian start out with basic vet school and then you specialize?
It's school by school. Joanne, you can, or excuse me, Alice, you can answer how your school was done. But like when I went to Davis, they had what was called the track system. So when you got to your junior year, if you knew you were never going to work on a poodle and you only were going to do cattle, you could do what's called a food animal track. Now, you were still required to take small animal medicine classes because you need to pass your state boards.
Right.
But you would take extra hours doing food animal stuff, whether it's dairy cattle, meat cattle, pigs, whatever. We also had something called the zoo track, so we could take extra courses in exotic animal work. And at the time I went to vet school, which seems like in the dark ages now, we were like one of only 3 schools that offered exotic animal medicine. So that's the way we did it back then, and I know my school still does that. They have a track system. What about you, Alice? Did they offer different options?
We didn't have a zoo track. You're right. And that's why what I was going to ask you is, where did you get all of that exotic animal experience? Because we didn't get that. It was small animal, and I pretty much knew I was going into derm because I don't like surgery. Anyone that does surgery, I'm like this. Oh, my God. I gush over them because I think that blood and those blood vessels should stay in here. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I was going to do derm from the get-go, but we did not have exotics. And we had a good raptor rehab unit, which I volunteered at, and that was interesting to me. And I always remember it was funded we would all go around and get all the pop cans. Because at the 8 o'clock class, it'd be like, shh. So then we'd go and collect all those, and that's what funded our Raptor Rehab program at Ohio State, at least back in the 80s when I was there.
Turning the can?
How funny.
Yeah, we turned in the cans and we got the money, baby. So, no, we did not have exotics. And that's why I was so fascinated when I read your book, because what year did you graduate UC Davis in?
86.
Okay, I was 89 at Ohio State because I had another career before this. And so I thought to myself, gosh, where did he get all that exotics experience? Because I'm very envious of that. I think that's really cool.
Well, I was very fortunate on two accounts. Number one, Dr. Murray Fowler was the head professor, and he was one of the original 6 veterinarians that started the American Association of Zoo Veterinary group.
Wow.
So he's Dr. Zoo. I mean, he's amazing. And then there was another veterinarian who actually lived in Davis, and he was an adjunct professor at UC Davis. His name was Dr. Fred Fry, and he is what everybody considers the godfather of reptile medicine. And he wrote all the reptile books way back before I was even in vet school. And I got to know him really well. We became extremely good friends. So I had 2 very good mentors. And then I just read a lot. I've always been a very avid reader, so as much reading as I could do and volunteering as I could do, and that's how I got the experience.
And I think you have to have that love to learn. You know, like
Yes.
even though I'm retired now and I'm doing a bunch of stuff, Janet will tell you, I'm probably listening to 1 or 2 podcasts or webinars a day. Or, I mean, yesterday in Nature, oh my God, you'll have to see it. If you don't get it, I'll send it to you, Dr. Mayer. It was a really good article on octopus and the anatomy, how they have 3 hearts. And it was fascinating, and how the study of their vision is so different than any other animal, and same with their neurotransmitters. It was only a couple pages. I couldn't put it down. So I actually tore that out before I got rid of the rest of the journal. But yeah, it's so cool to always be learning. And I'm sure I'll never treat one, but and the other thing that's interesting about octopus, they are protected in the UK and Europe when they're studied in labs, not in this country. Even though
No, they're not considered. They're not under the USDA at all. They're under the Animal Welfare Act, but not under the USDA.
Right. And they said, although most people that work with them in this country still abide by the same rules and regulations. Right. Okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Did you ever, again, me dissociating like I always do, have you seen the movie My Octopus Teacher?
Fabulous.
Yeah.
That was Sally Field.
No. It's Craig Foster wrote it. He won an Academy Award for it. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's amazing.
I did see it.
It really is something.
Wait a minute. Is that with the gentleman that then brings his daughter in because she wanted an octopus? That was a documentary, I think I saw.
No, he has a son.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. No, he lives in South Africa, and very long story short, he goes swimming every morning, and their water down there is like 40 degrees, and he does it without a wetsuit. And he's also a videographer, and he does nature videos. And he made friends with an octopus, and then he documents his relationship with this octopus, and then he basically shares with the viewer what he learned from the octopus. So I don't want to share any more than that. It's extremely good book, extremely amazing movie.
Oh, I've got it.
And it'll tear your heart out. So I have a box of Kleenex with you.
The other one that I thought was good was a documentary about these 2 or 3 men in India that rescue kites. The bird, and you see, because they feed on these big mounds of trash, and here in this little shed, these guys are with pennies on the dollar trying to bring these kites back to life. And that documentary, I don't usually watch the Academy Awards. I watched it that year because I was hoping they would win, and I don't think they won, but it brought a lot of attention to their cause, and it's another tearjerker one too. Yeah.
I have to share something. One of us right here, where are you? Come here. One of us, not naming any names, I think she kind of got into trouble.
Oh, okay. Oh God. Oh my God.
Often there, I have a rescue golden, and she knows when the school bus drops all the kids off.
Yeah.
And I can hear all this. "Ah, look." So I was texting my husband, going, "Can you go check on Libby? I hear kids." And she got called in, so I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh.
You know, I have to comment on the skunk patient that you saw in LA that had heart disease, because when I was a hospital pharmacist before I was a vet, and one of the doctors there, Dr. Mosteller, who was one of the psychiatrists, called me up one night at home because he knew I was in vet school and I was still working part-time as a pharmacist, and he said, my goat has congestive heart failure. And at the time we didn't have pymabendin, we had digoxin. This was back in the early 90s. And he said, can you find out if I can use that in a goat? And I have to tell you, Dr. Doug, had I known you then, I would have called you. I called Washington, D.C. Zoo. You know how in veterinary medicine, we all know each other. You know what I'm saying? And so I called everyone. Nobody could give me an answer on that.
So what did you do?
Well,
He did put it on Lasix. I know that. But I don't think he ever put it on Ditch.
I think in situations like that, you have to be a pioneer and you have to try it, understanding that
Yeah.
I would agree.
unfortunately sometimes it doesn't work. And I'll give you an example that I will carry with. Again, I'm dissociating like I always do. I'm sure, Alice, people have asked how many animals have you saved in your life? And people ask me a question all the time, and I think, I don't know, a lot. But the ones that I remember, are the ones I didn't save.
Always.
It
haunts me. It haunts me.
Yeah, when I first moved here to the Keys and I started working with the sea turtles, the guy that owned the sea turtle hospital didn't have a vet, so he used the vets from University of Florida, but that's 10 hours away.
Yeah.
And so they could only come down here every 2 or 3 months to help out. So he would have turtle cases that were sick or injured that sadly would sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks before a vet would come. So when I started coming, it was amazing for him because I could check on the turtles every day, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the very first time I did surgery on a turtle, it was a turtle that got its flipper chewed off by a shark. So I had to amputate the stump of the flipper, what was left of the stump, and I'm closing it all up and had very rudimentary. It was basically picnic table surgery, okay? And when I was all done, I says, what do you have for pain meds? And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, I want to give the turtle some pain medication because he just had his arm or his flipper amputated. He goes, well, we don't do that here. So that just freaked me out.
Whoa.
You read my book, I was in a horrible car accident. I've had like 27 surgeries and I don't like pain and I don't want my patients to be in pain. And one thing I was taught in school, especially in my residency, was how important post-op analgesia is. Yeah. So I went ahead and I bought a bottle of Banamine, which is Flunix and Meglumine is the name of the actual drug. And at the time, that's a non-steroidal. It's kind of like an ibuprofen type drug, all right?
One of the first non-steroidals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But keep in mind, this goes back 35 years ago. And so I went ahead, used my own money. I bought a bottle. The next time I did surgery, I did 2 surgeries on 2 turtles. And I went ahead and I gave each of them a shot of the Banamine because I've used it back then. It's really for large animals, but off-label or extra-label, you could use it in dogs, not in cats. And so I used it in the turtles, and guess what? I killed them both.
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah. So here I am, raise my hand. I killed 2 endangered species.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I did was I published it because I don't want anybody else to do it.
Right.
do it.
Yeah, I made a huge mistake, but nobody else had done it before. I needed to do something. I felt like I had to do something to provide analgesia for these animals.
Yes.
So I did what I knew worked in other species, but it didn't work in the sea turtles. In fact, it killed them. But now other people know because of my screw up, they know not to use it.
Well,
So yeah, a lot of times like the digoxin and the goat, you just have to try it and understand that it may work.
Yeah.
Nothing may happen, or you could have a Doug experience.
and it might get destroyed in the rumen. You know what I mean? And nothing ever happened. You're right.
For our listeners, like Alice, I know you walk on the Florida beaches and you've taught me what to do if I see an injured animal, but what are tips for our listeners who find, like, I don't know, a raccoon that's still alive or seagull on the shore. Like, what do we do? We're out there on the beach, we're somewhere. How do you help that animal and get it to a facility?
Well, boy, that's a toughie because number one, you never want a person to get injured. And number two, you don't want the animal to be injured. So if you don't know how to handle that animal, you shouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you see an injured raccoon, you also have to go an extra step too. Like, I live in a special world here. We live on an island. We don't have rabies. We don't have Baliascaris, which is the really nasty worm that raccoons carry that can kill people. But I know in the majority of the country, you do have rabies. So why is that raccoon injured? Because it had rabies, it's neurologic, it wandered out into the road, got hit by a car. Now you go to pick it up and it bites or scratches, you know you've got rabies.
Yeah.
So I am not going to sit here on a podcast and tell people to go out there and very carefully catch it and put it in a garbage can and take it to the wildlife center.
Yeah.
The thing to do is to call animal control.
Yeah.
And hopefully they have the proper phone network set up where they know to call a wildlife person who specializes in raccoons or maybe small mammals or a bird person or whatever. But the thing to do is, you know, morally you don't want to walk away from it,
Right.
but you should at least make an effort to call animal control and then
That's a good
report it so that something can be done.
You know,
Because again, you don't want to get hurt and you don't want them to get
last
hurt.
night
The
on
person
the
is a human. With me, I want to do something. You know what I mean? But that's really good advice to call animal because I wouldn't know what to do with a wild animal. You know?
Well, yeah, but did you see on the news last night, and I just saw it on this morning, there was an otter acting crazy in this river, and these like 4 or 5 kind of like teenage boys, because who else gets harmed by
It was a
stuff? The
beaver.
teenage
It
boys,
was a
right?
beaver. It wasn't an otter.
Oh, I'm
a
sorry, it was a beaver. Yeah, and this morning
It
now
was
they say the beaver
aggressive.
has rabies. Yeah, it's got rabies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was a river otter, Janet. I really did. Anyway, it was
I
a
saw the
mammal.
kid picked up the beaver and like threw it back. It was
Yeah.
bizarre. It was insane. And those
Yeah.
things are solid. They're not small.
No.
Wow.
No, if they have to go through the rabies series, that would be a shame. I was exposed to a rabid cow back in vet school.
Really?
Back in the day. Yeah.
In
Back in the
California?
day. Yep.
Oh.
Myself and a couple other techs and a few other people that were exposed to it, we all had to go through the rabies series.
Wow.
And that was not fun.
In spite of the fact that you were already vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'll tell you an interesting story. My mother raised us natural hygiene. I was never vaccinated for anything. So when I got into vet school, it's like you get this vaccine, and they were actually back in the 80s, in 85 when I got in, they were using some vet students to I got the monkey diploid one, but they were also trying to get another one marketed. And because I had insurance, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be part of that marketing. I'll just pay for the monkey diploid. I've got medical insurance. And I'm going to tell you, I got really sick, probably because I had never been vaccinated for anything in my life. And, you know, here I come. But funny, do you check your titers very often, Dr. Mader?
I haven't probably in the last 10 years because we don't have rabies here.
Oh, that's true.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I had 9.
So I did when I was in California on a regular basis, but I have not in the last 10 years because, again, we're very lucky we don't have it.
Yeah, I had mine checked before I was volunteering at Crow because you couldn't work with the raccoons unless you had rabies vaccinated. And it was like, 800,000 times. And how many years has that been? 40 years. So, yeah. Thank God.
Yeah. No, I when I got vaccinated originally, we still had it was the egg yolk based
Yep.
and the really thick stuff, and it hurt like hell.
Yeah.
I remember because I had it in the stomach and it was like, oh my God, was it painful? You couldn't breathe, you couldn't bend over, you couldn't cough, you couldn't pee, you couldn't poop, you couldn't. It was horrible. Worst vaccine I've ever had.
See, the worst one for me was I got the shingles vaccine.
Oh, that was nasty too. Yeah.
And you know what? The first one, I was literally like for 3 or 4 days. And then the next one wasn't as bad, but my husband came home from his annual physical on December 23rd. So Christmas Eve. And he goes, yeah, I got the shingles vaccine. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Because like Christmas is in 2 days. He was a mess for like a week.
Yeah.
He never went for the second one.
Huh. Wow.
Because he was so sick. It was, I don't know.
A lot of people don't because of that.
Yeah,
was-
you're
But
right.
you really do need the second because it goes. I don't remember the actual numbers, something like 65 to 97%
Yeah.
protective.
Yeah.
So what pets do you have now, Dr. Doug?
I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 snakes, a
macaw.
frog, 3 tortoises, and a macaw.
Oh, what kind of tortoises? The ones that get huge?
No, I didn't get one of those.
Okay.
Everything I have is rescues. Most stuff is from clients that, couldn't afford their bills and wanted to put the animal to sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm a terrible businessman. I say, just give it to me. I'll take it. So I have a leopard tortoise, Tracy. She was in the book. She was in the first book.
Okay.
And then I have a redfoot tortoise and a little star tortoise that I got after the Hurricane Irma. It was kind of sad. One of my clients lost everything he owned as well, and he had just purchased, he was a very wealthy client, just purchased this tortoise called the Burmese Star. And he brought it into me and he was in tears and he goes, I can't keep this tortoise. I've lost everything. I don't even have a place to put it. He goes, can you find a home for it? And I have always wanted a Burmese Star tortoise, but they're real pricey and I could never afford one. And I says, well, I would be honored to give him a home, and he's going to outlive me, but I will do the best I can as long as I'm alive if you're willing to accept that. And so he gave him to me, so that's how I ended up with him.
Oh, how cool. Speaking of that, what's going on with the the illegal importation of exotics into this country? I mean, what's your opinion on that? Are we really clamping down on that? I mean, I read
big time.
horrible stories.
No, big time. Back when I first started, pretty much all the exotics that we saw were imported, and that's birds, reptiles, you name it. Now you can't import that stuff anymore. And fortunately, the good news is that it's led to good captive breeding. And so with the captive breeding, you've got healthier populations. You don't have, the diseases that they bring in from the wild. You don't have the parasites they bring in from the wild. And you're not depleting the wild populations. It doesn't mean that poaching still doesn't occur in these other countries. It's just not being sent legally here to the United States, but they are being sent elsewhere. I travel a lot. I've been very fortunate in my career, and I get to travel quite a bit. And, I just got back I went to Indonesia and was lecturing in Jakarta, and I went to this huge reptile show. 90% of the stuff they had there was imported. They were selling green iguanas, in Jakarta. And, of course, we have them running wild here.
Oh, my God.
But, I mean, they import all that stuff. And there's still a huge illegal pet trade. Fortunately, this country has pretty much shut it down.
Wow.
Dr. Mader, what is your pet or human peeve?
Human peeve?
Pet or human? Can't be any pet peeves, right?
Oh, I guess my human peeve is with work and having owned a hospital for so many years and having many employees. My biggest peeve was running out of stuff.
Yeah.
When you open the last bottle of vitamins or whatever, write it down so we can order more.
As a pharmacist, I can tell you that's my pet peeve.
Yeah. Biggest pet peeve for pets is usually not their problem, it's the human problem.
Yeah.
And that is owners that let their dogs run loose and crap everywhere and don't clean up after it. And they're loose dogs, they call them at-large dogs with the animal control, that go and attack other dogs and people.
Yes.
My own 2 dogs, which are very good, well-behaved dogs that I walk on a leash every single day, they've been attacked 3 different times by loose dogs.
Yep.
And, now, be honest, I carry a weapon.
Oh, I pack heat. No question.
When you walk
I
the
am not
dog,
going to let
you
that happen
do?
again.
No,
I do.
he does, but I don't. Because I'm not walking the dog. I'm not walking at Hinkley Lake anymore because Annie always came back with ticks. And Gidget I don't walk. And so they're in their own, they got a big yard here. Yeah. No, I'm with you, Dr. Mader. And I love when I start to spout off on someone, why do I have to leash my dog and you don't have to follow the rules? Yep. And I get told it's none of my business. And then I do but it is my business.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
Because the island that I live on, pretty much the entire island is refuge land because of the little key deer that live here.
Oh,
And
so cute.
it's in our county, it's illegal not to have your dog on a leash. And the fines are doubled on our island because it's a refuge.
Yeah.
Because people go, well, my dog would never attack a deer. The deer doesn't know that.
Right.
No.
And so the deer sees a loose dog, and what does the deer do? It turns and runs out in the middle of the road and gets hit by a car.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You know, so, and bless their hearts, I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble by the Tourist Development Council, but the tourists come down here and they want to see the deer, so what do? They take their bag of Doritos and they shake it out the window of their car, and all the deer come running out of the woods because all the deer want to eat, and then the tourists feed them and take their pictures and their selfies. And when I see that, I'm always polite. I'm extremely polite. I always stop and I explain to people, please, it's illegal to feed them. You can be fined.
Yeah.
And then I get the middle finger wave,
Yeah.
or I get the screw you, I'm on vacation wave, or some expletives, one of the 7 words we can't talk about.
Right.
And then I finally have to say, listen, A, I'm the veterinarian for the Key Deer Refuge, and I'm the one who has to treat it when it gets hit by a car or gets into action. And B, by the way, I'm also a sheriff's deputy, so I can write you a ticket now, or I can just take a picture and I have it sent to you, and it'll ruin your vacation. And then, again, I usually get a few choice words, and then they leave.
Oh, Janet, I need to become deputized. I never even thought about that. Or I could buy one of the fake.
You want to flash that badge.
No, that's my
You're
dream.
going to practice flipping out that badge.
Yeah.
Well, I'm serious, because when it comes to an animal, you don't even want to get started. When I was in vet school and I came home on weekends, the idiots that lived next door to us, it was a divorced guy with twin boys, and I sent the cops over there before, and the woman cop came back and said, well, they don't have a mother. I said, not my problem. Okay. My cat came home with a leg hold trap on it, and I want them prosecuted. So anyway, long story short, I can't even remember what I said to them because I was crazed. I didn't have a gun at that time, but so I've toned it down, but I would like to have some kind of badge or some kind of.
I don't think you've toned it down. And what you have to understand, Dr. Mater, is Alice is very petite, but comes on strong.
Well, and I'm also like you, Dr. Doug. I'm OCD. I'm doing a webinar on ectoparasites next week, and I got to tell you, one Hispanic vet said to me, I talk fast, but I've never met anyone like you that talk faster than me. And so I wrote him a thank you note in Espanol because that was my major. But no, I want everyone, when I'm thinking of something, and if it's not on track, I don't want to forget to say it because then I forgot to tell someone they might learn this,
Right.
So I get it. I totally get where you're coming from. But anyway, I love the sheriff deputy thing. Oh,
Thank you, Dr. Mater. She's on to something.
I've been, my second client when I moved to the Keys was, and it's very unique. We have a jail in Monroe County, and they have a zoo completely within the jail. And it's all taken care of by trustees. And it's the only one in the country where it's actually within the bounds of the jail. It's within the fences of the jail.
wow.
And so I have been their veterinarian since basically day one when I moved here. And then because I'm board certified in different areas and I worked for the sheriff's department, I was always their go-to expert for animal cruelty cases. Anytime they needed an expert opinion on something. And after probably about 10 years maybe, the sheriff came to me and he says, we want to deputize you because then when you go to court, not only are you a legal expert, but then you're also a sheriff's deputy as well. So they deputized me, and I've been carrying a badge for the last 20-something years.
Like Elvis. Elvis was deputized.
I didn't know that.
He was. Our sister lived in Memphis, and she's an Elvis file. Not a photo, but a file.
Dr. Mater, when does the book come out, the new book?
It's slated to come out December 15th,
December.
but it's the new one. We haven't picked a final name yet, but it's probably going to be called The Vet from the Urban Jungle.
Oh, cool.
I like
So
Very cool.
it also is in Los Angeles. So December 15th, and that is depending on without getting into politics, what happens with tariffs and paper supplies from China and all that other stuff. If all the ducks line up, December 15th is the release date for the book. And then I'm going to do a big launch at the VMX in Orlando in January.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Wonderful. We'll
Two
be sure
things,
to put
Janet.
all that on the podcast.
Yeah, on the show notes. I already got that in there. But two things. Carl Hyson, when he appeared in Sanibel to talk, and this was great because it's all old people. Only one person passed out. So yay. And then the second question I have is, was Jimmy Buffett ever one of your clients?
No. I shared the same IT person with Jimmy Buffett. That's the closest I ever got to him. But Carl Hyacin, if you notice, he wrote a blurb on the back of the book.
I did.
I met him because he had pet snakes. He loves snakes.
No.
And I met him 35 years ago. Well, about 30 years ago. He brought his snakes to me, and we just hit it off. We just became fast friends.
Yeah.
And so he and I are still really good friends after all these years, and his wife knows my wife, and we've watched his kids grow up. So he's a super, super nice guy.
I could show you. My husband loves his books. I could show you our shelf with all the Carl Hyson books.
But Alice, I have to
That's
share
cool.
one thing with Dr. Mater. So the Novotny sisters, Alice and Janet, are not snake fans. I've just never. So what we do when we're out in our wild suburban yards is if we see one, we scream SNAKE because we just can't say it. And
Yeah, because snakes can't spell, so they don't
they
know
don't
that you're
run
saying that.
hysterical over it. And I have two cats that are in and out cats, and they're fabulous. And one day it's like hanging from its mouth, and I'm like,
Oh, it brings it in.
Oh,
and I'm running the other way. I'm going SNAKE in the cat mouth. SNAKE.
Yeah, I'm catless right now because when we drive back to,
It's too much.
we're restoring a home in Venice, Florida. We moved out of Sanibel. And it was a lot with the 2 rescue Goldens and then the old cats that were in kidney failure. It was a lot. So I'm on a cat break right now, but I'm going to get to as soon as I
I think
can.
that makes a lot of sense for you guys going back and forth.
Yeah, and we're old. It's not like that trip gets harder and harder every time.
Well, we got to wrap it up and say thank you, Dr. Mater. This has been fascinating.
I
Wow.
can't wait for the next book. I'm serious.
thank you.
I would be doing stuff in Venice and, because the house is going to take another year probably. And I'd be like, oh, but when I get home, I can read the next chapter. So you always know you like a book when you can't wait to get home and read more of it.
That is true.
Well, thank you. I've been told the second book is good or better than the first one, so I hope so.
Hey, and congratulations.
Who told you that,
on
Carl?
publications. That's awesome.
Yes, but also all the beta readers and the editors.
Oh,
and-
good.
Cool.
Yeah, so quite a few people have really enjoyed it.
Just before we go, Rusty Moore, he's the dean at Ohio State. He's my classmate. And he's on his third book I could show it to you, on the human animal bond.
The human animal bond.
Unleashing the
Oh,
Bond.
yeah,
Okay.
I know that. Okay,
Well,
yes, I know who he is.
Yeah, well, Rusty and I had a talk because, all right, all three of us are veterinarians, and you and he turned out to be authors. It's like a whole different world.
Yeah.
And he's on
Yeah.
his third book, too. After the first one came out, he was already starting the third, and you sound very similar. I guess these publishers know when it catches on.
They want to crank that.
Well, it's I've written countless peer-reviewed articles and 3 medical textbooks, and as I told you in the beginning of the show, one of my goals when I was still in pre-high school was I wanted to write a book for the general audience like James Herriot.
Yeah.
Oh.
So now I'm at a stage in my career where I have time to do that, and it's my sunset career, my passion, my happy place, and I hope to keep writing for many years to come.
Can I ask you, because the writing style is so easy, do they advise you on that, or is this just you?
No, it's me. I
That's
wrote the
good
whole
to
thing.
know.
That's good
Yeah.
to know. Because you never know how much the editor cleans it up,
That's what
I was always told to be afraid of the editor, but the editor that I hired, okay, this is the last story. I know we're running out of time. I wanted to hire an independent editor before I took it to the publishing houses because I wanted it to be spotless. And I got names of several editors, some from Carl Hyacin, some from some other people.
Okay.
I interviewed a bunch of editors, and I ended up going with this editor, and it turns out that he worked for HarperCollins, and he was the editor for James Herriot and did the original James Herriot series.
it was.
So when he got my book, he goes, oh my God, he goes, this is like deja vu. He goes, I would be thrilled to work with you on it. And he was the nicest guy, and we worked and clicked so well.
Yeah.
And he did very, very little changes to my writing.
Wow.
He just kind of crossed the T's and dotted the I's.
Well, Janet, you'll be getting one as well as our other sister. So hopefully our other sister won't be watching, and it'll be a surprise for her. Oh, and she's a librarian, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mader. This has been incredible. We appreciate you and the work that you do. Wow, it's just
Well,
fascinating.
thank you.
An honor for me.
Thank you.
She's a fan.
Invite me back when the new book comes out, and we can talk about that one.
Yes,
That'd be great.
love
That'd
that.
be great.
Because
Thank
you
I
know
love
I'll
it.
read it.
Okay.
Thanks for
Okay.
listening. Don't forget to like us and share us, and look for a new episode every Wednesday. Thanks for listening. All right. Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching.
And listening.
We like likes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Speaking of Pets.
And give your pets a big kiss from the Novotny sisters.
The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA Video Production.